Hello everyone, Vanguard of Valor here, and welcome back. Today, we're going to be playing just a little bit of Gorogoa. Now, this game is super cool, and is hopefully here going to be the first episode of something a little bit different on our channel, specifically what I'm going to be tentatively naming Video Games of Valor. And basically, what it is a way for me to show off some of the really cool games that I've played over the last year, because since I haven't been on YouTube, most of the games that I've played over the last while have never been showed off to you guys, at least not by me. So this seemed like a great way to mix into our regular video schedule some more unusual games, some of them that might fit our style and some that might be something you wouldn't normally see here on the channel, in a way that is nice and short form. So this one in particular is probably going to be no more than 10 or so minutes, although you can see by the video time, whereas other episodes might be closer to 30. Either way, it's just going to be a single one-shot episode of games that I think are interesting. If you guys are really into them, we might come back to them and do more episodes, but the idea is just to give you a chance to get a taste of the different games that I think are really interesting that I've played recently. So, today we're starting with Gorogoa, and this is a game that I was first introduced to at PAX East last year, where I was able to give it a taste test there myself, and finally got to pick it up when it was released a couple of months ago. Now, this game is super cool visually, has some really interesting sound design. Its main downfall is that it's fairly short. I'm saying this now so that you know what you're getting into. The game itself only took me about 60 minutes or so to beat the first time around. But it was a very interesting, worthwhile 60 minutes. So if you're into that kind of shorter form experience, this game might be right for you. But for now, let's get into what the game actually is. Our whole game is interacted with through these little windows. Sometimes literally, like in this case. But in addition to a really cool visual style and a kind of interesting abstract style of storytelling, what makes this game so interesting is that it's all about details and how they interact. So for example, we have our kid here who's trying to identify what he's seeing happening in the world outside, but we can click on that and take a closer look. And again, we can click on the details within these images to keep zooming in and finding more interesting things that we can work with. So in this case, we see we have this bowl here with 5 different colored symbols. And now our child knows that might be what he needs to appease the beast outside. Now that we have our 4 little panels here, though, this is where the game really takes off. This is what it's all about, because now we can split our windows. And this is what turns the game from just being a little point-and-click adventure into being something that is really unusual, but definitely worth taking a look at, because now what we have instead is a game about overlapping worlds and the details therein, and how we can use those to accomplish different tasks and work our way through an adventure. You can see as well that some of these environments have options to move around and find new things as we explore them. It's hard to tell how these are necessarily interconnected until we work our way through them a little bit. If we take a look at all of our environments, for example, we'll find that often there are other things we can find. Here our kid left the windowsill to go and find anything he can as part of his discovery in his book, and if nothing else, he's found a bowl. But he's stopped right there, and he doesn't seem to want to do anything. However, we can line his closet up with this doorway, and that makes that the exit of that room. There's some really cool stuff we can do here by lining up environments and connecting details between one image and another, and using that to solve problems. Now, if we take a look around here, he knows he needs to find some kind of red element of some kind. But so far, we don't have anything like that. The only thing we saw was back on that door previously. But if we take a look around this house, well, there's something that might be interesting. Here's something red, if nothing else. A nice apple on our tree. Although somehow we're going to have to get that into the bowl, or at least above the bowl. So let's see what we can do about that. If we try to line them up, it's not a quite perfect lineup, but maybe we can change that by zooming in. And now these two pet sections are connected. And this is kind of what makes this game so fascinating, is being able to connect these different pieces in ways that makes them interact. And now, we have a red element. Just like that. So often these different environments are set up in a way that while they may be very different, and some of them aren't even necessarily real, like the photo frame in here, we can still use them to accomplish whatever tasks are put in front of us. Like right now, we can see that the wheelchair-bound person here is dreaming about walking between these rooftop sections. If we take a look over there, they don't connect to anything, so normally we wouldn't be able to use them. But that's not the case in Gorogoa. Now we're off to get our green element, and just like before, we can manipulate the world around us by connecting our tiles to move around the place. And there's tons of things we can look at. For example, we have a pillow here which shows us the kind of connections that we were making to get that red element. We can see in the window here, there's all kinds of other things. We can see someone coming to a doorway that's not there, but the doorway appears and they're able to go through. They find a statue with a stone orb that becomes a green orb, the green element, perhaps. And if we take a look around more, there's all kinds of other details here. Someone who picks a star out of the sky and puts it into their lantern. A blackened mirror. A lantern as well, with a space behind it that you can overlap on other windows. All kinds of interesting details. And experimenting with those details and seeing how you can overlap them to accomplish your goals is what makes this game so incredibly cool. Apparently the door is over to the right. Let's go take a look. It would seem that someone has bricked it up. Maybe we won't be able to go and get our green element after all. But then, of course, we remember that this is Gorogoa. And in Gorogoa, just because something seems impossible doesn't mean we can't make use of it. And now there's a door. This process of discovery and experimentation is super cool. The environments are all beautiful, and this game just really blew my mind the first time I played through it. I'm going to reiterate again that it is a fairly short game, so if you're not into that, this might not be something you'd want to play. But it is a super cool experience nonetheless. We're probably going to go only for a little bit longer here till we get our second element. And then I'm going to stop this episode because I don't want to ruin this whole thing for you. This game is really interesting and I deserve to let you play it. Otherwise, I'm doing it a disservice. It seems as though our creature here may cause more trouble if we're not able to stop it. But maybe we'll be able to do something to appease it after all. And this game has a ton of surprises for you. Our giant dragon face here looks to me like it would make a perfect green apple. And that is where we're going to leave off for now. I know this has been a much shorter episode than normal. The idea here for this series is we're going to be having one episode of something else at the end of every run of our Into the Breach episodes for the time being, and one in the middle after our second island, just to mix things up and give you guys something else to take a look at that you might not have otherwise seen. As it stands though, I think that at least this one is something worth looking at. So I will leave you with this for now. Feel free to let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, and don't worry, we'll be having our regularly scheduled episodes as per normal as well. I just want to mix in some other things to keep people on their toes and show off some of the cool stuff we've played recently. Thank you everyone for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.